Hi everybody, Kat here. Thanks for joining me today. I have a really exciting video today, at least I think it's exciting. Paul Rubens reached out to me to ask me to do a review of their watercolor set called QiCaiHui, which translates to rainbow or painted colors or something like that. And they said that this is an Academy grade set. Now, I really absolutely love my Paul Rubens professionals, so I'm quite anxious to see how these perform. If after this review you're interested in buying the set, I'll leave a link for you in the description box. But please do know this is an unbiased review. They are not sponsoring me in any way, and I don't receive a commission on sales. So they come in this cardboard box, and look at this absolutely stunning case. It's a tin case, and it opens up like that. Oh, I think there is a thumb. Yeah, there's a thumb ring here too, if you want to go and paint outside, which I won't. So I think I'm going to take that off because sometimes these thumb rings get in the way of, yeah, you see it's a little bit lopsided, so I will take that off. So it opens like this and like this, and oh look. Okay, so I have all these wrapped colors, and I think they're going to come out of their sleeves quite easily because these two have slid out. And here's a list of, now this is only a set of 24, so there's obviously more than 24 colors here. But what it does include is the pigment numbers, which is wonderful, and the pigment name, and it also tells you whether it's opaque or not, and it has the light fast ratings, I believe. Isn't that wonderful? So it has all the information that I really like to have when I'm choosing a paint. And what we will do today is I'm going to make a swatch card to keep in here like I do for all my sets. So I will take this, oh, this comes out too. Aha. So this tray is easy to remove. And what I will do is I will unwrap these, and probably I'll probably keep these wrappers, and I'll make two swatch cards, one on a larger piece of paper, and I'll stick these down perhaps. I'm having trouble reading this, but I can see that there's a transparency rating and a light fast rating, yes. And the pigment number too. It's all on here, but it's not very good for people in their 50s with the eyesight that I have. So what I will do is I will carry on unwrapping these colors, and I'll come back. I'll do that off camera because it'll be a little tedious for you. I'll come back when we're ready to do the swatches. So just a couple of things before I get started. I did paint out the swatches on my large sheet, and I quite like the brightness of the colors. But what I did notice, there's two things I wanted to say. I cut out and measured a piece that'll fit in here. And then while I was doing that, just as I was finishing up, of course, I noticed that they had included this in the case here. So it's a swatch sheet that's already printed up and prepared with all the light fast information, which I love while I'm painting. I like to know which transparent, and it's on sparkly paper. It's on cotton paper, but it's sparkly. So I think I'll just do the swatches on this. And the second thing I wanted to note about this set is while it's a beautiful case, when I open it, it seems to spring back. It doesn't rest on the table. So I am going to contact the person who contacted me, the representative, and because I'm not being paid for this, they just asked me if I was interested in reviewing the product. And I don't know if it's just this one case, and you know, that's faulty, or if this is an issue with the case, because that would drive me crazy. You know, like you can't mix on a color palette that's on an angle, because all of your colors will be sitting down here at the bottom. So what I'll do for this, since I'm going to be swatching out, I'm going to take this out and I'll leave it up here, and I'm going to use my my own palette. It's not a big deal, but just wanted to put that out there for you. Okay, so let's get started on this swatch sheet. So I'm waking up the colors with a spritz of water, because that's something I'd like to show you too, is how easy it is to wake up the colors. So since the set came with Chinese white, what I did, and I did it for this swatch sheet too, is they gave me an extra ultramarine blue, and they gave me a second type of black. It's called Mars Black. So I never swatch out the white anyway, because you can't see it on white paper, and I never really use it. So I put the black in place of the white, and I'll do my swatches just like I did this one. So I'll just change the information up here later. But for now, I'm not going to contaminate my brush with the black paint. I'll just start with the light color here. So this is called Flesh. Lemon yellow. I like to add a little bit of water to see the transparency, but it is a bit of a small swatch card. Cadmium yellow. I've never painted on sparkly paper before. I don't know if I picked up enough of that cad yellow. There we go. This is gamboge. That's nice. Cadmium red pale. Ooh, that's very nice. Cadmium red hue. Yeah, they're all hues, which means they don't actually use cadmium to make the color. They just make the color as close as they can to the true cadmium red. And this is cadmium red deep. So there's 3 different cadmium reds. And permanent rose. They wake up quite nicely in your palette. Ooh, it's so beautiful. I'm just going to add a bit of water to that. Alizarin crimson. And purple lake. Ooh, that's so beautiful. And this is cerulean blue hue. Next is cobalt blue hue. Ultramarine. This cobalt blue hue, often people, if they don't have ultramarine, they'll use the cobalt blue, and I can see why. It's quite close together. This is intense blue, which is like a phthalo blue, because it's PP15, and that's usually what phthalo blue is made with. And indigo. I'll try to lift some of that so we could see the color better. There. This is a sap green. Hooker's green. This next one is emerald green, really beautiful color. Then we're moving on to burnt sienna. That's not my favorite. Raw umber. Van Dyke brown. Very nice. Burnt umber. And this is ivory black. And last but not least, this is Mars black. There. And we'll see how that dries. You can see where I have painted, you can still see the sparkles through your paint. That's interesting. That would be kind of fun depending on what it is you're painting. So for the next step, I just want to paint a very simple, do a couple of little simple tests with the paint to see how it flows. So I'll turn my paper this way so I can get a nice close-up. So I think first I'm going to take maybe some permanent rose. I believe this is the permanent rose. I'm just going to see, oh yeah, that's nice. That bleeds nicely. That's what's important to me, even if it's a student grade paint, whether or not you can spread it around quite nicely. And there we go. And let's take some of this cadmium yellow, I believe it is. Yep. I'm just going to, whoops, put some here. Very nice. Now to see if it has a little bit of a bleed, I'm going to take this purple lake and I'm going to take a bit of indigo, make a darker purple. I'm just going to pop it in there. Yeah, see, that's what I wanted to see, if that would happen, and it is. Wonderful. Because sometimes with an academy grade, a student grade paper, paint, they have a lot of fillers, and so your paint won't move, and this seems to move quite nicely. I'm going to take some Hooker's green and drop it in there. Whoop. Okay, let's try another one. I want to use a few colors, so now I'm going to kind of wet a petal first, and I'm going to drop in some ultramarine. See how that moves around. And I'll take some alizarin crimson. Yeah, that's moving around. I'm just trying to see if they merge a little bit on their own. I might have too much water there, so I'll try the next one a bit drier. Ultramarine. Alizarin crimson. Yeah, see, that was my fault. I had too much water there. So you see how it's feathering out. Because sometimes you want your watercolors to do this. Sometimes you don't, and sometimes you do. I had a puddle there going, so. Very nice. Yeah, that's really nice for loose, kind of loose light work. You know, in the background of a painting, you want things to be flowy. So far, I think this is a quality beginner set. And it's rare for me to say that about an academy grade paint. It has all the characteristics that I look for in a paint, and I love that all the pigment information is included, the light fast information. And when you're a beginner, you sometimes, that's not important to you, but you know, for me it is. Like when I'm layering, I like to know how transparent a color is, etc., etc. And that information is important. And I also love the way the paint is performing. Look at how nicely these colors are merging. Beautiful. Quite nice. And now I'm going to try some earth tones here. So I'm going to make a circle. This burnt sienna is the only thing that I feel it's a weak color. Because Paul Rubens burnt sienna in my professional set, that's my favorite burnt sienna actually. And this is a bit of a weak color. This earth tone is not weak, the raw umber. That's quite nice. And the Van Dyke brown is beautiful. And so is the burnt umber. Very nice. And the most popular combination, one of the most, is burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. So let's test this out. It usually makes a nice gray. So there's a gray on the blue side. So I'll put more burnt sienna in. Now we're going to start to get warmer, start to go more like a brown. Yeah, very nice. So the last thing I want to test is whether or not you can lift this paint. Now sometimes it is due to the paper. This paper is Canson XL, so which means it's got a very smooth surface and the paint sits on top. So usually even very staining colors will lift easily on this paper. This paper is cotton. And so I'm going to try lifting on both just to see. I'm just going to try a few colors because I'm certain that they're going to lift on this paper. So I'm going to try to lift this cadmium red. And I'm doing it by wetting and going back and forth. This is it's not a hard brush, but it's a firm brush. It has a lot of spring to it. It's called a Princeton Snap. And then I'm going to try lifting the ultramarine blue, which always lifts very well. Because it's not a staining color. And then the intense blue. You can see that this is more of a staining color. And now I'll try on the cotton paper. So what did I do? The cadmium red. A little trickier on this. You might need the help of a paper towel. Okay, ultramarine blue. Yeah, that lifts quite well. The intense blue. Now often when you're lifting, it's not because you've made a mistake, it's because you want to highlight somewhere. So I wouldn't worry too much about this method. I just like to know if the paints lift easily. So all in all, after the test, would I recommend these to you as an Academy grade watercolor set? I would. I certainly would. They are vibrant. They mix well. They move well on the paper. They don't dry chalky, which is a very big issue with cheap paints. And they don't have that undesirable graininess when you're painting. It's hard to describe, but you can feel it and see it in your brush when your paint has a lot of fillers in it. It leaves like streaks almost. This filler. So here right on the wrappers, it says that the pigments are bound together with gum arabic, which is perfect. I mean, I'm sure there may be other ingredients that that they don't list. And I find the Paul Rubens professional paints they're spectacular. I love using them, and I think this student set is really up to par. It's really very, very, very good. So with the exception of the burnt sienna being a little on the weak side, you can always make a gray with your ultramarine, and you can use a Van Dyke brown. That also makes a nice gray color. You can use a blue, and you can make an orange, and that makes a nice gray color. So that is the only weak part, and the case. I discussed the issue with the case with the representative, and she explained that there was a faulty batch, which is still in distribution, by the way, because it's all mixed up. So if you order one, it has been rectified apparently, but if you order one and the case is faulty, you just return it, and you should get another one from a different batch number. So if after watching this review you've decided, yes, I want to buy this set, there are links in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Happy watercoloring. Bye-bye.